All right, friends, we're getting towards the end of the story. This is actually the last section. So we have found out why this one country is winning, and they only had one participant, and the participant was actually cheating. But we have stopped the cheating. We have found out that he was using Professor Paz von Volt's great invention for a bad thing. And so now this one's called I Can't Stand Bananas. Once the news of Count Van Snoutrat's cheating got out, the competition that he had won, all the competitions he had won were voided. Then the events were repeated the next day. At this time, it was the best athletes who won, not the most sneaky. That's what it's supposed to be. There was a special ceremony to thank Hercule Poirot and me for solving the case. I was a little embarrassed by all the attention, but at the same time, I knew Grandfather would be proud when he heard the news. Hooray for Hercule Poirot! Hooray for Geronimo Stilton! All the athletes cheered. Hercule took a bow. Then he shouted, 3 cheers for all the athletes, especially the ones from Mouse Island. And this one has a page of how they redid the Olympics. And so things like running, the real people were getting a chance to participate, not the cheaters. That got a huge cheer from the audience. Hip, hip, hooray! Hip, hip, hooray! Hercule sat down again and began chewing on a banana. Would you like a banana, my dear Stilton? You see, this one is special because I cut him off. I just couldn't bear to have this conversation again. No, thank you. Come on, just give it a little taste. You'll see why, Hercule continued. Thank you, but no, I said firmly. Just try a little bite, he insisted. I'm not hungry, but it's really a good banana. Just let me explain. Not only do they upset my stomach, but also I hate them. But it would be impossible for you not to like this banana if you'll just let me explain. I can't stand the taste of bananas, I shouted. I hate bananas. I despise them. I detest them. I loathe them. I stopped at last, but only because I'd run out of words that mean hate. He waved the banana under my nose. But my dear Stilton, these don't taste like bananas. They taste like cheese. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I looked at him suspiciously. Then cautiously, I leaned in to smell the banana. Hercule was absolutely right. It was the tastiest banana I'd ever had. In fact, it was scrumptious. This is not your everyday banana, Stilton, Hercule explained. I soaked it in melted cheese all night. What do you think, my dear Stilton? I sighed with satisfaction. Ah, Hercule, if you hadn't thought up such a remarkable invention, I'm sure Professor Paz van Volt would have eventually. Geronimo, you're amazing. But the real surprise was still to come. When the Olympics wrapped up, Hercule Poirot and I boarded the first plane back to New Mouse City. Despite what I'd told Thay and Grandfather, I was sad to leave Athens. It was truly a beautiful city, and one with so much fascinating history. I couldn't wait to come back for a visit. After a bumpy flight, Hercule and I scrambled off the plane together. It was good to be home. Much to our surprise, there was a huge crowd of rodents waiting around at the airport. Geronimo, you're amazing! I turned red as a tomato. Who, me? I stuttered. The crowd pushed down the barriers. More than 1,000 female rodents rushed towards me. It was terrifying. I scampered away as fast as I could. Run, my dear Stilton, run, said Hercule. At the moment, my cell phone rang, and it was Sister Thea. Geronimo, your TV broadcasts of the Olympics are stupendous. By the way, you look great on TV. All my friends want to meet you. And what an adventure you had. It's the kind of thing that only happens to you and Hercule Poirot. And then the rest of the story is called Facts About the Modern Olympics. So here's some things about today. So where Greece used to be where the first Olympics was held, but now when they first started, the games actually were not very successful. There were only 241 male athletes. Most of all of them were from Greece. They're all from the same country, so it wasn't much of a competition, which wasn't very fun. And so now the Olympics are actually held all over the place. and you can actually check out, they plan the cities like 4 or 5 years ahead, and they're all over the world. So one year it might be in the United States, one year it might be in China, one year maybe in Japan, and then it's in France or England. And you have to ask for a bid for the Olympics. So you have to ask the Olympic Committee, you have to say, I really want the Olympics to be in the United States in Boston. And you have to give all the reasons why. And Boston has been a choice, and they can say, yeah, that's a good choice, or no, it's not going to work. Because when you have the Olympics, you have to build a lot of things that you normally wouldn't have. And you have to be able to be near an airport where everyone can fly. You have to have a place where everyone can stay called Olympic Village. So it's a lot of work to make sure that they pick a place that is the best. So once for swimming, if you look at the bottom picture here, they used to actually swim in one of the rivers with the current instead of in a swimming pool. So that's kind of silly. You have to take an oath now saying that, you won't cheat or do anything illegal or anything you're not supposed to do. So that is really great. So you can't be like the cheater in our story. We talked about the torch a little bit, that the torch is something that started from the very beginning. So every 4 years when they have the Olympics, it always starts with a torch. So different countries race the flame around. And so they'll run with the flame, passing it from one person to the next. And then the night that the Olympics start, wherever the Olympics start, the flame will be brought there. And someone brings it, the last special person gets to carry it up a lot of stairs and set it in the cauldron. And it burns every day that the Olympics go on. And then on the closing day, the last day of the Olympics, they'll put it out. And that signifies that the Olympics are officially over. If you've ever seen the Olympics, they have the 5 rings. So that is now the color. And the 5 rings are for the continents. Yellow is for Asia, black's for Africa, blue's for Europe, red is for the Americas, which means North and South America. So that's Canada, Mexico, the United States, and all the countries in South America. And green is for Oasia, which is going to be what we now call Asia and Australia. They put them together. So it'll be places like China, Japan, the Philippines, Australia, who else would be there? Thailand, some of those countries instead. So if you ever see the 5 rings. Now women are in the Olympics, which is so awesome because women were never allowed to be in the Olympics until the 1990s in Paris. They were allowed to be in tennis and croquet. And now there are tons of women, thousands of women in the Olympics all the time. All right. Then we have 2 different kinds of Olympics. We have the Summer Olympics, where you're going to find things like swimming. That's what we were supposed to have this year. And then you'll find we also had the Winter Olympics. So the Summer Olympics is where you're going to find things like diving, swimming, baseball. You're going to find track and field, things like running, throwing the discus and the javelin and the high jump and the long jump and all those kind of things you will find in the Summer Olympics. And then in the Winter Olympics is where you'll find things like all the different types of skiing, ice skating, bobsledding. This is called the skeleton, all these different things that you will find, curling, hockey, all those different things that you will find if you are doing the Winter Olympics. So they're never at the same time. Then there's something also called the Paralympics, and the Paralympics happen in the summer and the winter, and they happen right after the regular Olympics. So when the regular Olympics are finished, for a few weeks, they have the Paralympics, and that's for people who are disabled in some way, and they compete. So it might be that you're in a wheelchair. It might be that you have no legs and you're in a bike like this. It might mean that you're skiing on one ski. It might mean that you have a prosthetic or a fake limb, like a leg. Or here's another type of prosthetic to jump with. So those are a way that people with disabilities can still be in the Olympics and be able to compete against each other in a fair way. So some sports have come and gone. They've had things like tennis and then they said no. And they've had things like snowboarding and then they brought it back. Same thing with baseball. They got rid of baseball and softball, then they brought it back. So they've had a lot of sports because they try to not have a million sports, but they tried to keep sports that more people are going to be a part of. Okay, rugby used to be part of it, is not anymore. They did add this one you may have never heard of called the biathlon. It's actually where you ski and you shoot a rifle at a target at the same time. So you ski fast, and then you stand up. Sometimes you have to lay down on your stomach and you have to shoot a target. And the more that you get, the faster time you get. And then you get back up on your feet and you ski. And then you have to do more target practice. So you're kind of out of breath and you have to kind of calm yourself and steady yourself so you're not shaking. It's a really hard one. If you haven't seen it, that's definitely a good one. We've talked about how they live in an Olympic village. They have to have a place where they can live. All the athletes have to stay there. They can't leave there. They eat, they train, their coaches and stuff are there. They're not allowed to leave that area. And then they just gave some cool athletes. Jesse Owens was a track and field athlete. Tanny Gray Thompson was a Paralympic athlete. And Carl Lewis was a famous runner. Nadia Komakachi was a famous gymnast. Mark Spitz was a swimmer. Jean-Claude Keeley was a alpine skier, downhill skiing. Katrina Witt was a famous ice skater. And Reza Sementia was another skier from Russia who has a lot of Olympic medals. And then there has a bunch of world records that people have set, like in soccer. The country that won the most medals in soccer are Great Britain and Hungary. In track and fields, an American named Ray Oury holds the record for the most gold medals won by any male. And he won a lot of them for a lot of years in a row. Most gold medals won by a country is the United States. We've won 943 gold medals. Most athletes in a single Olympic game. The most athletes to ever compete from one place was in Athens, Greece. And they had 10,625 people competing. And 4,329 of those were women, which was also a record. Right? So I hope you got to learn some fun things about the Olympics. Geronimo has a million more books. So if it's a series that you like, it's totally one you should do. I find him super funny. So I hope you enjoyed it. Have a wonderful day.